Now backgrounds is really where PanPastels come into their own. I'm using exactly the same technique, got that white printer paper, I've got a selection of pans, and this time I'm using these small applicators. Now they really do look like makeup applicators, but they are the PanPastel soft tool applicator, but I find these last a little bit longer, and obviously being small like this, you've got that bit more control. So I'm just going to pick up some, just reapplying my magnet there. You can see I'm using circular motions really most of the time, and I'm not copying exactly the background that I'm seeing on the reference photo. I'm going to follow it a bit, but it's not, when you've got an out of focus background like that, it's not critical that you create a duplicate of it. I don't expect the people that see my artwork to be seeing the reference photo as well. So it's quite unique when you're seeing me actually create it like this. If you're working with a client or you're selling your originals, you don't go then showing them the reference photo, because there's no point in them comparing, because that's what they would naturally do. So I'm just getting some of the green. I added a touch of white to it, and I decide where I want to place the lights and the darks. If I think some of the lights in the background are in a bit of an awkward place, perhaps they're lining up with an angle of the body or just looks awkward, I can choose to change the shape on there, eliminate them. As I said, especially with a blurry background such as this. Now I see a lot of artists do fantastic animals, and then everything seems to fall to pieces on the background, and many people seem to struggle with backgrounds, especially like this. This is why I wanted to tackle this one in this drawing. And I think the reason that they struggle with it is because they take their time on the main subject. So on the cub in this instance, they really take their time, they study the eyes, the spots, and then when it comes to the background, it's as if they expect it to just flow from their brushes and flow from their pencils. You have to treat the background with as much respect and time and care as you're doing with the main subject. Otherwise it will always look like it was a second thought and really not be of the same quality of the animal or the person or whatever your main subject is. So really take your time. If you're struggling with the background, take even more time. There should be no rush. Don't go getting into commissions and things, especially for family members who particularly usually want it for next to nothing. Don't go putting that pressure on yourself until you've got a good grounding in the techniques. Otherwise you're going to, as I said, put a lot of pressure on yourself to perform quickly. And when you're a novice, you really want to be enjoying it and taking your time. So this is real-time speed, and I do look like I'm going quite quick, but don't forget I've got 3 years worth of experience with pastels now and 20 odd years worth of experience with oils, so I can go that bit faster. And when you see me doing things like the rock and texturizing the rock later on, I go quite quickly on that, because I've got enough experience now that I know when I go a bit faster, my strokes get more organic and random, whereas when I was a beginner, if I went faster, my strokes would become more unnatural and uniform. So if I was doing grass, for instance, if I rushed that, it'd end up like a picket fence, whereas now I find going a bit faster just automatically makes me go more organic, more random in my strokes. Now I'm not leaning on that cub's head when I'm doing this. You see my hand going over the top. I'm not resting on the eyes or anything. Because of the angle of my board and this little soft tool and just away from that surface. Now you could put some paper there to protect it, some glassine paper, and I could put the magnetic magnets on there obviously to hold them in place. You see, I'm just building it up. I could put the lights down first if I wanted to, then the darks. It really doesn't matter, because nothing is super bright on the background and nothing is super dark either. Now these small strokes are acting as kind of a blending tool as well. You can see it all looks very soft as I'm putting it down, so I'm laying it down. And I'm blending one area into the next area. So you can also use your fingers if you want. But the actual tool creates an even softer blend than you could get with your fingers. I'll just speed the video up now because you can see the technique I'm using, and then I'll slow it back down when I'm doing a different area. So you can see how I'm creating it nice and soft. I'll put a nice light area here. Then I'll use the tool to just gently then blend it all together. I'll add a little bit more green there, the lighter green. And you see, I can then lightly go around the edge and just blend it in. So that's how easy you can create that bokeh effect, that blurred out effect we get from cameras with a shallow depth of field. And the more pastel you put down, the softer it is when you're creating effects like this. So if it's all still looking very grainy when you're trying to do something similar, don't be afraid with the background to put more pastel down. We're not going to be putting details on the background, so we haven't got to worry about our pencil details going over this surface. Lots of beginners don't put enough pastel down in the backgrounds. And if you're really struggling with pans, or you don't want to buy pans, you can do exactly the same with pastel sticks. And in fact, they are much more opaque than PanPastel, so you may even have, you know, an easier time doing that and creating softness with those. And I really like Jackson's own brand pastel sticks and Rembrandt pastel sticks. So I'm going to continue now blocking in the background. Just wanted to quickly mention my Patreon channel for those looking for even more in-depth art instruction. It's packed full of pastel videos, oil videos as well, and those videos are being added to new ones every single month. I have videos for the complete beginner that have never done pastels or oils before with just limited supplies, and I take you from the very first blocking in all the way through to the final detailed drawings and paintings. I've also got some really unusual subjects as well, and in all of my videos I always take you through all the details. You see everything I do, how I create my work. But it's not just for beginners, it's also for novices, and I also show the best artwork that I've ever done as well. And this particular elephant video spans 6 hours, so you know you're going to see tons and tons of details, tips and techniques. And as mentioned, I've got lots of oil videos on there too, so there really is something for everybody, and you get access to hundreds of hours worth of videos for just $4. Now over 1,000 members strong. Hope to see you there soon.